thank you guys for listening. Today we're talking with my girl Emily from Adventure Recovery. For people who don't know what Adventure Recovery is, I'm a huge fan of wilderness therapy. Do you mind just sort of giving an overview of what is that for people who have no idea and wonder what that has to do with brains or improved performance or anything like that? What's Adventure Recovery?
Absolutely. I want to quickly just touch on the wording of wilderness therapy has such a negative connotation for a lot of people.
It does.
And I don't think it should. I don't think it should.
I love it.
I think that there is such an unfortunate stigma that has been created that is not necessarily fair because a lot of companies took liberties that they shouldn't have taken and did a lot of unethical things and rightly were shut down, much later than they should have been.
Sure.
And I also think that it soured wilderness therapy in general and created an environment. It is such a shame because there's such value in wilderness therapy. But I know that a lot of people hear the words wilderness therapy and think of people getting kidnapped in the middle of the night and zip tied to tents and all these things. And that is not exactly the intention nor the direct purpose of any of it. It's definitely not what we do at Adventure Recovery. And so to be associated in that way, I think for some people puts that immediate nope, not for me on it. So it's always important for me to say that we are the non-punitive, non-shame-based, non-forced version of wilderness therapy that is truly based on the model of how can we help you regain confidence, learn skills that will lead to your ability to be independent and experience fun in recovery, right?
Yeah.
So Adventure Recovery is basically let's get you outside for your mental health.
Yeah.
Getting people outside for their mental health, for people in substance use recovery, mental health recovery of any kind, people who just need to get outside and touch grass, recovering from the human condition. I think that everyone is in a recovery process of some sort from something, whether they know it or not. And what we're doing is getting individuals and groups out on a, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly basis to engage with the wilderness, whether it's hiking, rock climbing, whitewater rafting, snow sports, surf sports. If it's outdoors, we do it. And
that's really cool. Let me stop you right there.
Pretty cool.
That's way different than what people might think or imagine.
Yeah.
It's not just going for a hike or busting fire.
Not at all.
Say a little bit more about that. That's
so I think that a lot of treatment centers, we're fully outpatient. So everything we do is kind of the addendum add-on service. We don't claim to be a full spectrum of care by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do is get people outside to do fun stuff, get that adrenaline pumping. Let's get you to push yourself a little bit. Let's get you to look at what your edge is, and I think...
And do they do this one-on-one or in groups, or
both.
Is it flexible? Tell me about that.
So the one-on-one model is based on this peer mentorship model. All of us at Adventure Recovery are in some kind of recovery process of our own.
Yeah.
I've been in long-term recovery from substance use disorder for 11 and a half years, and I really enjoy being outdoors. It's something where I feel most connected to myself and the world around me and other people.
Yeah. And
I've found that when I get to share that with another person and guide them through what I've learned in my own recovery and in outdoor skillmanship, that makes an enormous difference from someone, especially in early recovery. Yeah. I find when you're feeling like, how do I have fun sober? How do I have fun in this time where I'm feeling raw and vulnerable and I'm feeling things for the first time that I've been numbing or muting for a very long time, using these maladaptive coping mechanisms so that I didn't have to deal with, right?
Sure.
How can we rechannel that energy, bring you into an environment where maybe you haven't had much access to or opportunity, or maybe it's something you already love to do that we're rediscovering a passion for, maybe pushing you to I don't know, try something new out there. Like if you're used to following the GPS on your phone, what does it look like to learn how to use a map and compass? And what does it look like for you to learn how to fail at using a map and compass? How do we allow you to have the dignity of your own experience using that tool? Because so many of us are essentially just given the answer all the time,
sure.
right? So how are we expected to learn when we're given the answer?
Yeah.
I think on the individual basis, you form this long-term bond with someone where over time we build trust and you're going out with them, whether it's weekly. Everything we do is customizable. So you can be going out multiple times a week, weekly, monthly, whatever it is, whether it's with the intention of learning a new skill, with a long-term goal of climbing a certain peak, skiing down a certain mountain, surfing a certain type of wave, and the ultimate benefit being that relationship forming where they can autonomously then continue to do this on their own. My hope with any individual that I work with is that I'm imparting their autonomy, essentially, that I'm giving you the skill set that you're going to have to then build community in this arena. You can then go out and whether it's, joining a climbing gym or a run club, you're then developing the skill set that you need to go live a beautiful, successful life where you actually don't need me. That maybe I'm there forever. I'm forever in your pocket. I'm there as a resource for as long as you need. But the ultimate end goal is that you get to be a self-sufficient, independent human being who benefits from learning these skills. So if I'm teaching rock climbing, the ultimate goal is that this is something that you can pick up and turn to every time that you feel like, using or like, you can't deal with the current circumstances of your life. And it's like, I'm struggling with the anxiety that I feel as a result of my parents fighting. And my typical go-to is smoking weed about it. And instead, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the rock gym. I'm going to go find a crag that's, nearby my house and go climbing.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to find friends that also like to do this. And maybe you're struggling with social skills. How do we work on that when we go out?
How does that work if you take a group out? What are the group dynamics?
So the group dynamics, we typically are contracting with treatment centers, sober livings, schools, and my favorite thing currently is I'm taking out groups of women to learn how to build fires using basic tools of flint and steel. We're learning how to chop wood, like the bare bones of how to start a fire. And a lot of the time, I think as women specifically, building a fire is a very masculine task, just in general. Yeah. You think of picking up an axe and chopping wood feels very masculine. And I really embraced the femininity of it and the empowerment of it, and been sharing that with these women that I'm taking out in these groups. And a lot of them look at me like I have three heads when I'm like, you're going to pick up the hatchet and chop wood. And they're like, I have 10 days sober. In what world would you let me do that? And I'm like, because I trust you and you are much more capable than you give yourself credit for.
Right.
And when you empower people and tell them that they can do things instead of telling them that their brains are broken and that they can't do things,
sure,
and that they're actually a lot more intelligent than they give themselves credit for. They have the decision-making capabilities that they've been told they don't have.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if I taught you how to do something, I showed you with my own body how to do this. You watched me. You then did it. I'm then going to ask you to teach the next girl right there. I don't have to teach the next girl because I just taught you how to do it. I'm now going to supervise you teaching the next person.
Right. That
then gives you self-confidence. That's giving you fulfillment. You're saying, oh my gosh, I learned a skill and then I was able to show someone else how to do that.
Yes.
That's like a 101 basic thing that, like, when I was taught that, I was mind blown how I instantly gained confidence in that.
Sure.
But for someone with, 20 days sober in a treatment facility, that is monumental. Yeah. If I had that at that time, I can't imagine how different my path would have looked and how many maladaptive behaviors I may not have used to try and gain that same confidence.
Yeah.
You know? So I get to teach these women how to do this, and then we literally teach them how to use flint and steel to start a fire.
Yeah.
And the process of doing that, and how frustrating it is to try and catch a spark on a piece of char cloth, and how the perseverance of doing that is worth the end goal, and how when you keep trying something that you know is incredibly difficult, and that all it takes is that one spark, and that we're really relating these metaphorical, ties to recovery of like, all it takes is that one spark, that moment where you decide you're willing and you're ready and it's time. To this one spark hitting this char cloth, and that's all it takes, and you fold it in and you blow on that fire and it becomes a flame.
Yeah.
And you throw it in, and that's the beginning of your journey. If we can connect those two things for someone, and it's a physical representation of, for a lot of times, what feels completely out of reach for a lot of people of,
Sure.
What do you mean turn it over? What do you mean let go and let God? What do you mean, just... These things are
just so abstract.
Exactly. If a concept is that abstract, how can I use nature to really bring it back into the reality for someone that's tangible?
Yeah. Yeah.
The group dynamic specifically has been great because they get to help each other do it.
Right.
And then they, when there's wind and I'm taking you to the beach and I'm trying to do the flint and steel, they, get frustrated because the wind is like, okay, how am I supposed to catch a spark? The other women are standing around them, holding the towels around them, encouraging them. And then it's like, we built this fire only because there were 7 of us doing it together. Not a single one of you could have done this on your own.
Right.
If we weren't together, it wouldn't have happened. But because all 7 of us held these towels and we each individually put our good energy and spirit into encouraging each other and talking each other through this, and we put positive energy into it. When the same way there's been studies on plants, when you're saying like, this plant is dying, and you talk to a plant and you're like, you're growing, you're doing great. There's literal studies on this, that the plant will grow.
Right.
You're treating it the same way. It's the way you talk to yourself. It's the way we talk to others.
Yeah.
I talk to a human being and I tell them that they're useless. They're going to feel useless. I talk to another person and tell them that they're powerful and they're beautiful and they have worth and that they're contributing to their recovery.
Yeah.
They're gonna start to believe that. So when other women are telling other women, and I'm talking about women specifically because those are the groups I'm currently working with.
Sure.
But this goes, and especially for men, how empowering and powerful is that to have men telling other men, you're worthy, you're capable, you're smart, you're allowed to have your needs met, you're allowed to have your feelings heard, you're allowed to cry about this.
Yeah.
This is allowed to hurt. What a monumental experience for men to sit around a fire and have that. Who would have thunk that it all comes back to sitting around that fire?
Yeah.
This original way we did storytelling, this original way that we came together as a society and a community, that if we could just come back to some of those basic things, sometimes that is as simple as it gets to start the fire.
Yeah.
And that's the start.
That makes sense. How did you find your way to adventure recovery?
I was stuck. I think that's where a lot of us find where we're supposed to end up, is a place of stuck,
Absolutely.
And I've heard, you speak about your story, and I think that to me is always such a profound way to move forward in this life is to realize that we're actually never truly stuck.
Yeah.
I can be in a place where I know there's a change that needs to be made, and I have to get to a point of willingness, right?
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that has to get in a lot of pain to make a different choice. And usually it's someone else saying, this is no longer meant for you, or this might be the next step, right? I was at a corporate job that I was really good at, that I loved, but it wasn't going anywhere, and I wasn't moving up, and I was kind of at like the plateau. And I had someone in my life encourage me to leave that, which was my safety. You know what I mean? I lived in my apartment in New York City. I left that job. I moved to Martha's Vineyard. I lived in a tiny home on wheels, and I worked at a bakery for 6 months. I'd never baked anything in my life. Turns out I'm very bad at baking. I'm good at eating pie and selling pie, but I'm not very good at the making of it.
Me neither, by the way. If it's not microwavable, it's not happening.
Very hard.
It's tricky, yeah.
It's very hard. Also, you got to remember that it's in the oven.
Oh, yeah.
Tough stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, but my experience on that island was that there's a lack of mental health resources, and because I had a longer term sobriety as a young person, I was able to be uniquely useful to some people there, and I realized that there was a real need for whatever I had in me that needed to be used, that I was finally ready to enter some of this work. And I had the opportunity to take some time off, and I really needed to learn how to be alone, and I really was interested in getting back into the outdoors. And that's where that wilderness component comes in of I had been sent to a wilderness program when I was 17, and I had an experience going on a family vacation in 2022, and I had this calling back to the mountains, and I could feel it in my soul. And it was like, you got to go to the mountains, you got to go to the mountains, you got to go to the mountains. And I don't, again, I can't tell you where that came from, but it was there. I had to listen. And I went and did it. And it was like, guys, have you heard of mountains? And everyone was like, sure have. And I was like, good for your mental health. And they were like, uh-huh. And I refound Adventure Recovery. I had known many friends that had been affiliated, associated, worked with them, because I was in the recovery community on the East Coast. I knew all these people. Found out that they do Adventure Recovery coach training. So it's a recovery coach certification that they offer, and it's a 60-hour full curriculum thing. And I called to be like, should I do this? And their pitch was very if it makes sense for you. It was very not salesy, and I was kind of like, huh? I explained my story, and they explained theirs, and then it was like if it's meant for you. And I was like, kind of sounds like it is. But I was shocked that he wasn't trying to sell me on it. And that's what sold me on it, was the fact that it wasn't a sales pitch. And it was it sounds like this might be for you, but you get to decide. And I was like, interesting. So I decided, and I went, and by the end of the first day, I was in tears. And I was like, this is exactly what I meant to do. And it was marrying that peer recovery model of that mentorship of I've been through something like this, and I think that I can relate to you and understand what you're going through. Here are some outdoor skills that I'm learning, and risk management and all these things, nature as healer. And I would like to be the conduit. I'm honestly not really I'm not outdoor messiah by any stretch of the imagination. I'm the person that's guiding you to what you're supposed to learn from nature. Because I'm not the one that knows really what's going,
Yeah.
I'm in charge of the risk management, making sure that you're safe and taken care of, and being trained in the first aid out there. But otherwise, Mother Nature's doing her job. I'm not the one doing that. She's going to teach you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
I can give you the tools, but you're going to have the experience you're supposed to have out there. And once I realized that that's what we were doing, everything just kind of fell into place. And this was in Connecticut. I had just moved out to California, and I was like, I need to bring this out there. We have a presence in Colorado, and I was like, I'm bringing this out to California. And they were like, sure, go for it, give it a shot. I'd never done business development or anything, but I just came out here and I was like, hey guys, don't know what I'm doing. Do you want to touch grass? And I would just go to all the networking events. And I met people like Alex from Neurologics, who was the sweetest, kindest angel baby, and just sat down with me at a cafe, and could not have been kinder and more welcoming, and invited me to things and told me about Neurologics. And I was like, again, mind blown of what you guys do here, and was just truly, truly blown away by the multitude of ways that we can observe how a human being functions and actually offer so many options.
Right.
So many options to help someone, but it's not a guessing game anymore. We have spent so long as a society trying to figure out what's wrong with people, when really there's nothing wrong with anyone. Right. We just have to figure out how it works and what we do with that.
Right.
So to me, it's such an easy, it's such a simplistic answer of if we can map your brain, and what you guys do with optimization was it's not rocket science.
Sure.
Sometimes you'll explain it, and I'm like, I don't know what Karen's talking about. To be honest, she uses a lot of big words there. But then it's the truth of the matter is we're looking at what the brain is and does, how someone learns, where someone's past injuries or where their past traumas have affected the way that they take in information and how they process emotion. How do we help them? if the question at the end of the day is, how do I help someone? And people have the answer for that, and we can make that a full picture.
It's the same. We're talking about the same thing, though, because really the process of optimization is the person helping themselves.
Exactly.
It's not something we could, I mean, look, I, throughout my clinical career, have wished often I could wave a magic wand or do a Vulcan mind meld and impart something that you want someone else to have.
It would be sick if you could do that, Karen. It would be really sick.
I'd love that. I know. Right? But
it defeats the purpose.
They have to get it themselves. And that was the part I didn't really count on with Neurologics, was how through a process of, self-efficacy, that people want to improve their brain and their lives. They want to. And same with adventure recovery. I mean, they want to get the thing, but there's resistance built up to, I mean, on our side, it's a pathologic label, right? And I mean, for us, it's, hey, when you get a brain map, yes, it's an overall accurate assessment of brain function, but at the same time, it's a non-pathologic label, because by the time they get to map 3, plenty of people don't have the same diagnostic label that they started out with.
100%.
Yeah.
I think we I
bet it's the same walking in the wilderness, because I've done a lot of those things. Stayed overnight in wall tents, busted fire, all the things, right? All across Oregon, Idaho, Utah, Montana, lots.
I love it.
Arizona, lots of places.
Where was your, if you had to pick?
I really loved, there's a little town called Escalante, Utah. It's population 356. And it's like the place where you can see the most stars in the sky because there's zero light pollution. It is the most remote place in North America. That's the fun fact. And they pronounce it Escalante. So I might say Escalante because I don't live there, right? But it's the place that takes the mail the longest to arrive because it's the farthest from any major city anywhere in America. So it's at the mouth opening of Capitol Reef, Zion, and Bryce Canyon.
Yeah.
It's right in the middle. So it's really, it's got all the change of seasons. I mean, it's got all the, crazy wildflowers in the summer, red rocks, slot canyons, snow in the wintertime. But the part for me that is just so amazing sometimes is just something simple like being able to see stars.
100%.
You can't see them in places where there's a lot of light pollution or a lot of cloud cover, and just the act of being able to see stars, you underestimate.
It can make a world of difference.
Right.
We don't notice anymore is the thing. We've as a society, we just
look at our phones.
We're on our phones.
Right.
And I'm not necessarily ever going to be the demonizer of technology or phones, and it's all given us so much and it's also taken so much from us. There is this lack of connection and this ability to converse and make eye contact. And I do think that the youth in general are at such a strong disadvantage because of that, myself included. I am still working on getting unaddicted to my phone. It is truly a daily struggle of my screen time and trying to figure out, as someone who works in outdoor leadership and promoting touch grass, get off your phone, and I'm and now I'm going to talk about getting off your phone on my phone. And it's girl, but this concept of the learned helplessness of people actually do want to help themselves, and we get to show them that they want to help themselves, because most people don't even know that they want to help themselves until they're given the opportunity to. And I think part of what I love about adventure recovery is that there's the option. It's the opt-in model, right? So instead of the forced kidnap in the middle of the night, or the you did something bad, there's a punishment, there's a punitive model to this. It's the, do you want to change? We don't work with clients who don't want to do this work. So specifically on the individual model, if a parent comes to us and say, we want you to take our kid out to do climbing, and the kid is no, we're not going to be okay, we're going climbing. The answer is no, we're not doing that, right? We can try and explore if there's other activities they want to do. But if this person doesn't want to go outside and doesn't want to work with us, in no world are we doing this. This is not something we're doing. This just may not be for them. We might not be for them. But when I work with groups, a lot of the time, maybe 5 out of the 6 people are like at least willing to show up. The 6th person maybe like, I got in the van because I felt like I had no choice, right? They show up and they're like not stoked to be there.
Right.
And I'm like, great, congrats on participating. I'm not gonna like you already won by showing up, period.
Sure.
Because you could have not shown up at all. I know you thought that you had no choice, but you always have a choice, and your choice was to get in the van no matter what. Right. And even if you sat in the van and didn't get out and didn't do the hike at all or didn't do whatever we're doing,
it's something.
It's something, right? And usually by the end of it, there's some participation and something shifts. So even if everyone there has a terrible experience, the change is what we're looking for.
Sure.
It's not that everyone had this like monumental experience. It's that they had some kind of change. So to see that an experience was had, a mood shifted, something moved in you. Something was different after the experience.
How do you bring that to their awareness? Or how do they bring it to their own awareness with your guidance?
So we do what we call something called the moodometer. And I bring it up in a funny way. I'm like, this, I was taught by our founder. We, go into conversation like, this is a, NASA scientific proven method of, how we measure how everyone's doing is called the moodometer. And you stick your hand out like this, you close your fist. We're going to go like this, warm it up a little bit. Where are we at on the moodometer? Right? And this is not for me. I don't want to know where you're at for me. This is for you to check in with yourself. You could be stoked. You could be miserable. I don't need a word association. I want to see, because you're checking in with yourself where you're at. And we're going to do this once during the experience and then once after. I want you to feel what that physical representation of where you're at is for you. Mm. And it's not about like showing me that you had a bad time or a good time or that now you're having a great time. It's for you to check in with yourself. Mm. And most of what I do when I open up a group is say that this is a space where I want you to be able to use your voice.
Right.
So if you're having a bad time, I would like to hear about it. Tell me you're having a bad time. What can I do? And if the answer is you want to stop, we will stop. We will take a break. We will see how we can adjust. Like, I am not here to make your guys' life miserable. Mm-hmm. I do not want you to not want to come back and have another experience here. So how do we adjust? How do we switch? I took these girls on a hike and they were miserable. They were having a bad time. The hike was too hard for them. And they were like, and it wasn't just that it was too hard. There was no shade. It was too sunny. One of them hadn't eaten enough. Like, I had asked all the proper questions, but by the time we were like halfway up a hill, they were like, dude, this is awful. And I was like, cool, let's do something different then. Like, we don't have to commit to this just because it was the original plan.
Sure.
We walked down to the beach and we went tide pooling and they had a great time.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, the experience, they were like, oh, we didn't even know that was like because you said that we could say no, we felt like we could say something. And it was like because they were given the option.
Right.
And it's like,
self-advocacy.
Autonomy,
yeah.
Like self-advocacy. I want people to be able to use their voice. Mm-hmm. That is such a hard thing for us to do, or for some of us to do. Mm-hmm. I know for me it is, right?
Sure.
So if I'm going into a group and being able to say, what are some things that you guys find that you're struggling with lately? And I'm hearing a general theme, then how can I challenge that?
Yeah.
How can I say, like, I'm gonna show you, we're gonna maybe do something that I'm gonna need you to use your voice for.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. How do individual people who might be listening to this find out about you? So we have a website, we have an Instagram, we have a TikTok, we I'll be at West Coast Symposium. Our founder is presenting at the Litchfield Wellness Festival in Connecticut. Our executive director is going to be on a panel next week in Connecticut. We are a small organization. We were founded in Connecticut a little over 10 years ago. We have presence there and in Colorado, and we are a little bit newer out here. In 2 weeks, I'm going to Kent.
You're going to Kent?
Yeah. I'm on a women's leadership panel in Kent.
At High Watch?
Yeah. Where
I went to treatment and our founder went to treatment.
What?
So Tim So I was at High Watch for 6 months in 2014 to 2015. That place saved my life. We just did a training for 6 High Watch Alina Lodge members.
I didn't know any of this.
Tim was at High Watch for 1 whole year.
Wow.
That place is magic. Have you been there?
No, this will be my first time. I've known Sam forever. I've known Sam since she lived in the UK, and I have UK citizenship, and I met her at UKSAD, and I used to present at UKSAD.
I have full body chills. I wanted to go to this leadership. So I'm going on a family vacation that was booked, and I was like, I wanted to go attend that. This is crazy. Isn't that wild?
It's me and Tion Dayton. And
Oh, no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
There are no coincidences. Yeah. It's called the Hill of Hope. That place saved my life.
Oh, wow.
High Watch has had a significant impact on, when you go, say hi to Rob, say hi to Robbie, kiss that land for me. That place is sacred. We literally just trained some of their staff. They went through a full recovery coach training with us. That place is so deeply, deeply meaningful to Adventure Recovery. We work closely with them, to specifically Tim and I. It was where I learned how to show up for myself.
Yeah.
That's where I learned how to show up for my own recovery and for other people. I can't believe that. Kent is beautiful. You got to go to Kent Falls.
I've never done any of these things.
Okay, I'm going to send you a whole list of stuff. That's where we do a lot of our programming and activities. That's like our home, like land area, Sharon. Like that's, wow. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
This is amazing. Like, oh.
There are no accidents.
I was just there. I was literally just there this past week. Oh, it's the best. They are going to be so, they are so lucky to have you there. They are so lucky to have you there. That is going to be a phenomenal experience.
I feel really lucky to be invited to go. I love things like that. Yeah, and it's exploring new places and, yeah. And then I'm taking a quick stop to the Berkshires on the way back.
Where in the Berkshires are you going?
My college boyfriend has a farm there, so I don't really know.
Incredible.
He's like, we'll meet in Connecticut, and I'll show you my farm. I was like, okay.
Sounds delightful.
Yeah.
We do one of our trainings in the Berkshires at Camp High Rock. It's a YMCA, and I was also just in that region as well.
This is on the New York
Canaan.
Border. Like,
yep.
Portion of his land is in New York, and it's like, I don't know, 138 acres, and maybe a third of that is in New York. It's not right on the Massachusetts border.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're ending on the crest of the wave. I'm headed to your base camp, which I didn't even know. So how about that? Like, I had no idea, zero idea. And I'm so excited about that. And I would love for people to know more about what you do and how people find you. And so tell me once again, like, if people are watching or listening, how do they find you? How do they get connected to Adventure Recovery?
So adventurerecovery.com. Follow us on Instagram at Adventure Recovery. You can find me, Emily Palmer, National Director of Community Relations. Email me, emilyp@adventurerecovery.com. I would love to connect, love to talk to anyone and everyone that's interested. This is the best job in the world. This is this is the love of my life.
It shows.
You
light up when you talk about it.
I truly care so deeply about this, and it is it means the world to me that I get to talk about this, and I cannot thank you enough for having me on here to talk about this. I am so grateful that you have done the work that you have done to create space for people to understand their brain. That is so meaningful and so important, because once again, that self-advocacy, that autonomy, that you are allowing people to figure out how they learn, to figure out how they can then go and live a successful life with the tools that you're giving them, but they're giving them to themselves.
Yes,
that, to me, is exactly what we get to come back to.
Yeah.
It's everything. It's everything. So thank you for the work that you're doing here. Yeah. It is monumental. I cannot wait to see what this year brings you guys. Yeah. I'm so excited. And thank you again for having me on and letting me talk about
Such a pleasure.
the stuff we do.
Such a pleasure. And thank you all for tuning in, and follow us on all of our social and on YouTube to see who we're talking to next. Thanks so much.